Welcome back to Galactic Reviews.
Ouch.
We are doing something new. We'll be doing this roughly every 2 weeks, where it'll just be us just talking about stuff unfiltered, pretty much unedited, and let's just see how it goes. So, yeah. No, did you hear about Kathleen Kennedy?
What about?
Disney renewed her contract for another 3 years.
Really?
Yeah.
Why?
I don't know how you can get your contract renewed when you lost money on a franchise.
I don't ask questions.
Well, Disney needs to start.
They need to start doing a lot of things.
They need to start doing a lot of things better.
And that's just not the Disney way.
Yeah. I'm interested to understand what the Kenobi series is going to do, because a lot of people are excited about it, and part of me is skeptical because they really can't do a lot.
Yes,
because they could also break canon, which they've kind of done a lot in the past already. So
yeah.
We kind of discussed that in the Bad Batch series, actually, with the whole canon thing and them kind of disturbing what they've already conceived as canon.
Yeah,
and that's not even with us getting into the books and comics, which Jack kind of had a little bit of insight into when we did the first episode of Bad Batch with Kanan, or Caleb Dune, Kanan Jarrus, whatever, them kind of retconning that. So, it's gonna be interesting, but it's also gonna kind of be sad, just to see how much they mess stuff up.
Yeah, I'm nervous, and then I'm not.
Yeah, because part of me is like, I don't care about this anymore. I'm just going to stick with Legends at this point.
Yeah.
It's got way better storytelling. There are some discrepancies. And, when you have 50 plus writers working on different books, you're going to get that. The only book that's actually done that is the Bible. So, it's understandable as to why.
Bible.
And Legends got way more interesting material, way better storytelling in it than what Canon's kind of given us. Do we want to talk comics a little bit? Because,
Alright, what comic we can talk about?
Well, besides, them making Superman gay, Jonathan Kent.
Everyone? Do you mean literally everyone?
Yeah, basically everyone. They've either made gay or baseline bi. I don't even know what that means, but apparently that's what I've heard.
Thing.
That's what I've heard. Apparently they're just trying to make everybody... They're either trying to race change, gender, sex change, whatever the frick it is now. I don't really care about the terms anymore because it's all just stupid.
It is.
But
it is.
Yeah, apparently there are trans Amazons now, so this is awesome.
Trans Amazons.
Yeah. Which is ironic because men aren't allowed to be on Themyscira. So
yeah, I can get away. I'll accept giving them you can get away saying what they can be gay. Okay, I can attempt to understand.
Yeah,
because the men that are there are all slaves. In the original lore of it.
Yeah.
Historically, they're slaves. So.
Well, there was this one thing where, if I remember, there was a recent comic run where I don't remember if it was recent or not, but there were Amazonian men, or the baby boys of Themyscira, I guess, because they couldn't tell whether they were born, whether the kid, when the Amazons were pregnant or whatever, was going to be a boy or a girl. So they would just, I believe at first it was just thought of as they were going to get killed or whatever, but apparently they would take them and somebody would actually come and get them. So they were slaves to them or whatever.
That's what I'm hearing. I'm hearing kidnap.
Yeah, well, apparently they sell their kids into slavery.
as
Well, they
one
sell the
does in
boys
life.
into slavery. I think.
I mean,
I'm not.
isn't that just one of the main reasons why you have children? Just to make them your slaves? Do this. Clean the dishes.
I don't know. Don't have kids. But yeah, I think they've made. They've kind of made Wolverine and Cyclops kind of.
What? No. You can't mess with the bro bond that they
Yeah,
do and don't have.
they've kind of made them gay. They've kind of made the whole Wolverine, Cyclops, and Jean Grey a weird, messed up love triangle.
Oh, weird. Let's be honest, it
To
kind of
where-
already was a little weird and messed
No,
up.
no. They made it to where like it's almost a threesome.
Oh. I'm scared.
Yeah.
Save me.
So, yeah. I think that's the term. I'm not 100% sure, but at this point, I don't care anymore. It's just stuff keeps getting ruined, and at this point, I'm just like, you know what? I'll take my money and spend it somewhere else. Gonna keep
Reasonable.
on ruining my crap.
Oh no.
What?
No, I was just saying, oh no, they're ruining your stuff.
Well, I mean, you and Andrew were kind of on my back, kind of playing devil's advocate when I was doing that rant about Iris West being a race change from being a white redhead into a African American in the.
Okay.
And then we talked about it a little bit about how you were like, yeah, no, now I see your point because they did it recently or they were trying to do it with James Bond.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, I understand. It's annoying. I understand what they're wanting, quote unquote, to do or accomplish,
Yeah.
but it's not needed.
Well, my thing is, the problem is, most people don't have a problem with them trying to create new characters. I think the main problem is, like, them trying to usurp or take the mantle from the character that they love, which is why when they loved Falcon, but when Falcon became Captain America, that's when it became a problem.
Yes, no, agreed.
And another one is like when Jane Foster, everybody liked Jane Foster, but when she became a female version of Thor, or like female Thor, I don't even know what she's called because Thor is his freaking name. It's not a mantle.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's just
It's like trying to turn someone to He-Man,
yeah,
and you just can't.
yeah. Or when they tried to get Miles Morales and they made him, well, I mean, they tried to make a black Spider-Man, and granted, it worked a little bit, but it's still not as well renowned as the original Peter Parker Spider-Man.
Well, never. It never will be. But I mean, the only reason they did that was because they asked him to make a he wasn't actually even intending to make
An African American Spider-Man.
no, that was not his intention. I have no idea on that one, to be perfectly honest. I don't keep up with it enough
Yeah, well,
to be able to give you the answers.
yeah. Like, I mean, everybody was fine with Carol Danvers' Miss Marvel, but when they made her into Captain Marvel and made her a very SJW liberal character, everybody hated it. So,
Naturally.
yeah, so I mean, it's just, they have a way of doing things the right way, like making a new Robin. I guess when they did Jason Todd, when they did Tim Drake, they had a sort of progression of how they fit into the story, bringing them up as a new character, and that has been handled far better. Than I would say most of the stuff done now. And yeah, no, it's so messed up as to how they've kind of just gone about and just said and just gone all over the place with race swapping and gender swapping and not even giving a real care about the originality of these characters. Instead, they're just doing whatever they want.
Yes.
And fans call them out on the stuff, and then they get mad at the fans for not liking it.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
I mean, it's... And the people that like the stuff are just shilling for it because it's about the whole propaganda stuff. So, I mean, they're not going to buy the stuff. The people that are going to buy the stuff are the people that are diehard fans of the OG stuff. And you piss them off long enough, they're not going to go back. They're not going to go buy any more stuff. They'll be like, I'll spend my money on better stuff, older stuff, or I just will find other ways to spend my money.
Yes.
And I think that's why a lot of...
That's definitely true.
I think that's why a lot of the YouTube guys that I watch that are very much avid about this stuff, that have been like, this stuff, they're making this all about a culture war, and it starts with pop culture, and then it goes from pop culture into politics, and it keeps going down that... I don't remember exactly what they said, but it keeps on going down that slippery slope, and after some point, there is no return thing for it. So, I mean...
Yeah. Yeah.
And, yeah. So... I've also heard some stuff about secession, or seceding, or whatever. I don't think it's going to get there. At least not for a little bit. I wouldn't be surprised if it actually does eventually.
Eventually? May possibly.
Well, I mean, because I mean, at some point, if it keeps on getting bad enough, I would think, like, at least some people would be like, we need either... Something needs to change, and if they're not going to listen to us, then we need to leave. Or we need to do something different, because they're no longer being a representative of the people anymore.
Yes. No.
So,
yeah.
So I mean,
I understand.
And at some point I get that, because if you dig into the January 6th stuff, it's kind of weird the way they've framed it all. Whereas you look at all the riot stuff with Antifa, BLM, and all that stuff.
Oh, yes.
And there's all kinds of criminal activity all throughout that, and nothing's done about it. But the other side does, like, I would say, even if you just say it's like a very, very small fraction of it, and then they get crucified. So, I mean, it's very much political, and as to who can do what based on your beliefs. So
really it's not even on your beliefs, it's based on just about everything.
Pretty
if you
much.
Look at someone wrong, you're gonna get shot.
Well, I mean, there was one clip that was like, where's this guy that's asking another guy if he's a Trump supporter, and then he yells, "We got a Trump supporter over here," and then bang, bang to the face, and nobody bats an eye.
Yeah.
And it's just, it's at that point where it's like, something's really messed up, and the only way I know how to fix it is to get rid of the cancer as much as you can. Or,
but that's the thing. There's no cure for cancer, so there's no cure for this.
Well, I think what they do is they try to take out as much cancer as they can, if I'm not mistaken, or the cancerous cells, and without it like them getting into to where it's that bad, and then
they just irradiate it, or not irradiate. They no, it is irradiate.
Yeah, and then they just see what happens, and if it continues to get worse, at that point, I don't know if they try to treat it again until it either gets to the point where it's good enough to where the body ends up rehealing, or it ends up just taking over and
Mm-hmm.
that's where. And it's at that point where it's just like, that's kind of what I view it as right now. Is that it's.
We didn't cut it off at its roots when it started.
Yeah,
and
well, to be fair, we're like 20, 21. I mean, we couldn't really do squat to begin with. But
yeah, let's be honest. Everyone's like, every year has its own thing, but to me, every year is pretty much almost revolves around the same thing: politics.
Yeah,
you have to be politically correct.
Yeah, and I'm at the point now where, like, dude, I already kind of don't care right now.
First off, you can take this out. I have to before I can go to do classes, I have to take a class or do a class on how to properly treat the LGBTQ while I'm on campus.
Are you for real? Do you want me to take?
Yes.
Do you legit want me to take this out? Because this is actually kind of interesting. Actually,
you do whatever you want, but I'm just like
no. This is up to you. This is completely up to you.
You can leave it in because I'm not like saying anything like what school or anything.
Yeah, because I mean, like, well, honestly, I don't think anybody. I think more people are going to identify with this because it's just like, yeah, I think this is kind of both.
Why do you need to know, like, what are you going to tell me? I can't be mean to them, I can't pick on them, I can't call them names, like...
That's just common courtesy.
Yeah, I'm not going to be an absolute asshole.
Well, no, the problem is they're a very, very protected class, and it's like, seen all throughout this stuff.
But I understand that. But I'm like, I don't see why I need to take a class before I can go to college.
Yeah.
On how to.
I would. Yeah. Keep going.
I just don't know. Like, I don't understand.
Well, no, the problem is a lot of those people don't care.
I mean, the thing is, once you offend them, you offend not just one of them, you offend all of them as a whole.
Yeah.
And I'm like, it's like, you can have one that you're really good friends with. You offend another one, and that really good friend will either still be your friend and be shunned by the rest of the community, or will shun you because they're a part of the community.
Well, I think one thing that I've noticed is it's not a big majority of them, because I'm pretty sure I've met or been friends with one of them, and they could not give a frick as to whether or not what I believe or like
I know
what I say or anything.
I've met quite a few, and they're like, hey, this is what I am, and I don't really care what your opinion is. It won't harm me if you're not.
If you don't have a carbon copy of what I exactly believe.
Yes. And they're like, that doesn't offend me at all. This is my belief. This is how I live. And I'm like, I completely respect that.
Yeah.
I don't have a problem with you. You don't have a problem with me. We can live. We can still live, talk together, and be humans. We can still be civilized.
Yeah. This ironically took a very political turn. But I think that's the main problem with this, is that politics have basically become embedded in everything, where it wasn't necessary. And that's especially true in the comics right now, especially, where I think at some point they had this thing where, I know at least in DC, they had this thing where, like, Batman and Green Arrow were kind of seen as, like, socialists, which was kind of which kind of made sense a little bit because they were both rich playboys.
I mean,
which is kind of ironically stupid because Batman has a lot of wealth and then doesn't do squat about it, except make more toys instead of improving the system. I mean, it's ironically dumb and stupid.
Time out. He does improve the system.
I mean, he can improve Arkham Asylum as much as he wants, but he just leaves it as a shambles place. You know what I'm saying? Like.
You're not wrong.
Like,
You're not wrong.
He could help improve stuff. And I mean, he does that every now and then with, like, I believe her name is, like, Leslie Thompson or Dr. Thompson or whatever.
To be honest, I mean, you have Superman who says that repeatedly to him at times.
Yeah.
You can do this with your money and improve lives this way. And Batman's like, nah, I can just do it I can do something else.
Yeah, and I think that might have been the real reason why Dick Grayson left him the first time.
It could be. It could be. I mean, Dick Grayson left on a few notes.
It varies depending on, like, which
one.
Which version you look at. Most of the time it's that he didn't view him as anything more than a sidekick instead of a partner. Other times it's more so
and let's be honest, he doesn't start viewing him as a partner until after he leaves most of the time, and after he becomes Nightwing or whatever he wants to become.
Yeah.
He doesn't view him as a partner until it's always too late.
Yeah.
That's really one of the biggest flaws for Batman.
Yeah. I think the one that he did really view as a partner for the most part was Tim Drake. And that's because he was such a good detective.
Yes.
So, but yeah, Damian Wayne, I understand because it's his literal child.
Yeah, but I mean, Damian, I don't count Damian because he has other reasons.
He also has other issues, like he was trained to be a killer.
He has a lot of issues, let's be honest.
Oh yeah, without a doubt.
He's one of my least favorite. I'm sorry. 100%, I'm not a big fan of
that's what I've noticed. Either you're a big fan or you're not. Like, there's no really
I'm
middle.
Just not.
And ironically, I'm kind of in the middle because I'm like, I don't hate him, but I understand his story.
Yeah,
I think it's a great story that he went from being this chaotic little freak that couldn't do anything but kill to being this interesting character that developed over time. I just don't like it when, like, in comics, he reverts back to one of them, which I think is one of the things I have a problem with in the Injustice universe, is that he reverts back so quickly to killing criminals just left and right. Whereas Red Hood makes it way more intriguing because he's like, I think some criminals should be killed, but I don't think all of them should.
Mm-hmm. I mean, there's so many interesting characters, but the thing DC has always had a problem with is making movies. They need to make, if they're doing a movie, do it in like 2 or 3 parts, because there's a lot to explain in their lore. Yeah,
well, I mean, I've thought about how if I was, my perfect like DC movie franchise would be, and I think what I've thought of is make a Superman movie about like his beginnings, make a Batman movie about his beginnings, and do that with all the superheroes.
You have Batman Begins.
Well, no, I'm like talking about if they were to make like a
I know,
DC
I was
universe.
being sarcastic.
Yeah,
I was being sarcastic.
I get that, and I didn't care. So
I could see.
Make a Wonder Woman, roughly. Make a Wonder Woman one, and if you want to, have her be old enough to where she remembers the JSA, or like she was a part of the JSA, kind of like she was in like the Bronze and Silver Age, and then have her go into hiding for whatever reason. Expand upon that a little bit later when they get the whole Justice League out. And
or you could just roll right into the Justice League.
Yeah.
And just start from there.
I mean, you could, but I mean, I think I would rather have at least a Batman and Superman movie before the whole Justice League.
What you can do is you can have roll right into the Justice League, and if anything, if you're breaking this up as TV shows or movies or whatever,
I would think a combination of both would be actually
a combination. Well, then what you can do is you can have the movies and a TV show as one episodes of backflashes of each origin story or how they met the others or something to that extent.
Yeah. Well, I think what they could do is they could have they could do like a GCPD a Gotham City Police Department show or GCPD show, which I think would actually be interesting, where you have it not based on Jim Gordon like Gotham was, like completely on Jim Gordon, have it based on like
let's
different...
Let's be perfectly honest. Jim Gordon is a superhero.
Oh yeah, I'm surprised he still hasn't got like a Green Lantern ring in one of the comic issues.
He is a superhero. No one can tell me otherwise.
Yeah, have a Green Lantern movie about Hal Jordan. Have another Green Lantern movie, but make it like kind of like a comedy. A comedy with both what's his face, Guy Gardner and Jon Stewart. I think that would actually play off really well. Having those two very stark contrast characters play off each other.
That would be entertaining. Yeah. Very entertaining.
And for the first movie, I would think either having like Star Sapphire or Hector Hammond and doing it well as the villain for the first one, and then the second one have it be Guy Gardner and Jon Stewart and Hal Jordan later on going up against Sinestro. I think that would also be very intriguing for the second one. Let me see. At some point do like a later on after GCPD, do like a weird TV show where you're going into different characters and origins and stuff. And what I've thought about that is doing a TV show, The Question and The Creeper. Once again, two characters that really should not have any interest in each other. But that could be interesting if you do it right.
Yeah.
And I've thought about having that, how that would tie in with GCPD is that Vic Sage would be a detective along with Ralph Dibny, who is the elastic or elongated man, if I remember correctly, and have them be detectives. Have both of them have to like quit for whatever reason or retire, and him and Vic Sage go into working for reporting for Jack Ryder, who is a reporter, and then have that be an interesting playoff into all this stuff. I've had time to think about this, man, because this has been like bothering me.
You're going in like it's like, hold on, wait a minute, and then I can like see your mind go through a filing system and pull out a file and be like, yes, these are my notes.
Yeah, because I'm just like, you have all the stuff right there ready to grab for it, and you're just not even going for it at all.
I still want a Static Shock TV show revamp or a movie.
Oh yeah, do a Static Shock.
That would be amazing. I want Static Shock back.
Oh no, do a Static Shock live TV show. I think that would be interesting, and have the Justice League come in and like do like the crossovers with the Justice League. That would be interesting.
If anything, do something like with a crossover and just have like Shazam, because Shazam would 100%. I feel like Static Shock and Shazam or whoever you want to call
Firestorm would be a good one. I'm not even lying about that. Firestorm would be a good one to put in with Static Shock.
Kid Flash would be funny too.
Yeah, Kid Flash, Blue Beetle. I think what they should do though is, if they're going to do that, they could also go into like doing JSA movies, along with like having it all about those guys and them facing off against like Starro, like it was in like one of the first issues of the in the whatchamacallit, the Justice League comics. Have them face off against Starro. Have the big bad guy at the end of this be Darkseid. Have some of the heroes die off, or keep some of them on and recast them. Doesn't really matter at this point. It would be more interesting if you killed some of them off after Darkseid, because then you have Blackest Night. You could then do Blackest Night, make that interesting, because then you're fighting zombie thems. And then do Brightest Day.
Really cool.
And then do Brightest Day, where you actually get to say goodbye, whereas in Darkseid one, you don't get to say goodbye. It's a very quick death. That way you feel it. And then in Brightest Day, you actually get that goodbye, which would be interesting especially with Batman, along with, like if you had Batman killed in Darkseid one, you have Batman actually say goodbye in Brightest Day to Dick Grayson, Damian Wayne, Jason Todd, Tim Drake, all those guys, Jim Gordon,
Yes. Oh yes.
Alfred.
Yes, so many tiers.
I mean, you could. There's a good way to do this, and either Warner Brothers doesn't know what to do,
No,
or they
I feel
keep
like,
on hiring the wrong people.
Okay, it's either that or they're pitched these ideas and they're like, that's way too much work, that'll take too long, we want instant cash.
Yeah. One thing they could do is they could bring in random characters like Bawana Beast and do the kind of thing at the end of, let's see, kind of like they did with Bawana Beast in Batman the Brave and the Bold, and have that kind of death be amazingly done well.
Mm-hmm.
Where Bawana Beast ends up sacrificing himself to defeat Starro. If you haven't watched the show, spoiler, but spoiler for that one episode or whatever. You could also bring in like Ambush Bug, which is kind of like a Deadpool-esque character that can almost defeat anybody with martial artist skills, but can't defeat anybody who's crazy, which is ironic.
Be perfectly honest, I will always love that name.
Ambush Bug?
Yes.
Dude, there's all kinds of characters that they could bring up if they wanted to. They could then make interesting, and I think that's one of the things I'm disappointed about Marvel about, is because they had an opportunity, they had an easy layout.
I mean, they have the whole Bizarros.
Oh yeah, they could do a Bizarro world, or actually no, that'd be an interesting Justice League versus Bizarro League, and do that interesting take.
I mean, they have so many opportunities.
For the first Flash movie, make it Flash versus the Rogues like Captain Cold, Heat Wave, Golden Glider, Mirror Master, Weather Wizard, Trickster. If I didn't say Trickster already, I think I said them all.
No, you didn't. You said them all.
But make it with them. Do a Suicide Squad movie. Make it interesting, like pull out characters that nobody's heard of. And with the GCPD show, you can bring in villains that are obscure, have no reason to be there, and
just put them in the background, if anything.
GCPD show, you can then make characters that can easily be taken down by the police, be put into the Suicide Squad like they were in whatchamacallit, like in the more recent one, where like TDK, Mongal, which really shouldn't have been that easy. But you could also have like another Superman, like the first Superman movie, make Lex Luthor the bad guy. Second Superman movie, make Superman and Lex Luthor have to team up to defeat Mongol in his like war arena or whatever. If I remember that correctly. And then third movie, show Lex Luthor with have it be like Death of Superman and then Return of Superman for that. And you could do that very interestingly with Doomsday. I mean, they have a way to freaking do this, and they won't. And I don't know why.
As I said, they don't want to waste money on a series because they don't see it succeeding. Because they mess up once, and then no one's going to watch the rest of them.
Well, no, this is why you go off of the whole thing of you have one character that you put in a whole different direction than the other character, and then when they come together, you make it all kinds of messed up magic. Like Shazam, I don't expect Shazam to be the same as the Flash movie, but when I see them both on screen when they go to fight Darkseid, I expect to see their uniqueness, and yet so much combination of how they implement this, because it's Shazam with the speed of Mercury, along with the Flash, who is as fast as the speed of light, Superman, who can go just about as fast as the Flash and Shazam.
Yeah.
And Darkseid, who has Omega beams that go really stinking fast as well.
Actually, who's faster, the Flash or Shazam?
I think Flash is faster.
I was about to say, I think Flash.
Thank you, Jack.
I would think so, but I don't know.
Yeah, I think Flash is faster. I think actually Wally West more recently in the comics has become the fastest, but I think that was already established anyway once Barry Allen died.
Mm-hmm.
Since he spent so much time in the Speed Force and studying the Speed Force, more so than Barry, Jay, I think even Max Mercury, even more than him. You could also do Infinite Crisis, and if you were to do like Earth 2 movies and stuff, you could then bring them back into One Earth to then fight Darkseid. There's a way to make this stuff interesting, and I don't know why they don't take it, because I don't know about Marvel stories as much, which I mean will be more your wheelhouse, but
yeah,
they have a way to do this and make it interesting competition, because for right now Marvel's got a stranglehold on it, and it's starting to show, especially with them going into this all new, all different comic book run that didn't go into squat.
I'll be perfectly honest. Marvel took a gamble. They
definitely did. And I respect them for that.
Yeah, and I feel like that's what they're afraid to do with DC.
Well, yeah, they don't want to gamble anymore. Well, also that Marvel really doesn't want to gamble anymore because...
Well, they kind of failed with, like, the last few movies. The last Wonder Woman.
We're talking about DC?
Yeah, I was talking about DC.
Okay. Well, I mean, that's because they're kind of falling into the same prey of making it more...
I mean, so has
liberal-esque.
They've fallen with their
and I mean, they kind of did that in Zack Snyder's Justice League, where they had... I know it really doesn't matter, but they had Martian Manhunter being not his Jon Jones counterpart, which he was in the comics. Which I mean, I get.
How do you get rid of Jon Jones? Jon Jones has been there since the very beginning.
I know, but they kept Martian Manhunter and then got rid of Jon Jones.
He's been there since the beginning.
I know, that was his first freaking disguise.
The first identity.
I know, and they didn't even show it. They got rid of Ray Palmer and then put in Ryan Choi.
First off, you have him transform into Jon Jones. They ask, so what's your name? Jon Jones. The most straight-faced answer, but...
They could really play that off comedically, because Martian Manhunter won't be able to get any of the comedy of Earth, and he'll be so deadpan. I know Andrew won't like it, but it'll be funny.
No, it would work for his character.
Oh yeah, without a doubt. And
100%. 100%.
We need to go to Warner Brothers and talk to them about our movie ideas.
And they would throw us out the door immediately.
They would, but then we go talk to Marvel, and they would also throw us out the door. But then we go talk to like some other guy who's starting up a comic book industry, and then we say all our ideas about movies and stuff, and he's like, okay, you want to come help me try to figure this stuff out? And then we help him out, and at some point he needs writers.
And we get copyright struck, and then we get banned, we lose all of our money.
No, I'm talking about
prison, and then we die in prison, because you know what happens in prison, especially according to the movie you made me watch.
Which one?
I just went blank on his name.
Wrath of Man?
No, the one you made us watch because what's his name died.
Dirty Work. That's so stinking
Dirty
funny,
Work.
man.
Yeah, I was making the joke of, you know what happens in prison.
Dude, it was pretty much, and I probably should have prefaced this earlier, it's pretty much his stand-up just in format. It's kind of like watching an Abbott and Costello show, where it's their stand-up, but in a story format. Because it's got nothing to do with the story. They're doing a whole bunch of bits in the middle of it that's just them.
Yeah.
And really the story is just there. Like, the story revolves around the bit. It's not the bit that revolves around the story. And that's kind of the same thing with Dirty Work. So I think that's why I don't really mind it so much, because that's the stuff I grew up on. But
Reasonable.
Yeah. This has been our thing of Galactic Reviews, of us just giving our hot takes. Leave a comment down below as to whether or not you like this, and tell us what you think. See you next time on Galactic Reviews.